right, everybody. Welcome to the Touch of Gaming podcast, episode number 121. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison. And joining me, Jared Schultz. How's it going, Jared? How you been, my friend?
I've been doing well, especially since I just talked to you a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's been good. We've been getting some reviews, getting some games. I've been playing my iPad like so many times a day. I can't even count the number of times a day, all because of a game that just launched in Canada that I've been playing like mad, and we'll be talking about that right away. Yes, it's going to be the end of me. But other than that, I mean, how have you been? You've been enjoying your new iPod Touch?
Yes, it's still super thin, and
it hasn't fattened up, so hasn't gotten its freshman 5.
No, it hasn't at all. And the battery is actually quite nice on it. I have enjoyed the battery bump that I've got, and I don't know if that's because my old one was just old or because it's actually, a better battery. And then I have to say, though, I have my first thing that's kind of driving me crazy about it.
Oh, it's too thin?
No, well, that I think I'm over that a little bit. But they took out the auto light adjustment in order to make it as thin as it is.
Oh yeah, the light sensor.
Yeah, so I have to go in and adjust the brightness every so often. Like if I'm outside, then I have to go adjust it or reverse.
Right.
So every once in a while, something I used to never have to worry about and it just worked, being the light sensor, doesn't work anymore. I have to go and manually do it. Oh well.
Fun.
This is a total first world problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My screen isn't bright enough for too bright.
That's hilarious. Yes, that is definitely a first world problem. But yes,
but I still love it. And yeah, how you doing, Lloyd?
I'm doing really good. I'm still loving my little thing here, my little iCade 8-bitty. I've been playing it pretty much every day, playing the Activision Anthology app, playing a lot of River Raid, playing you name it. I've just been trying all the games that have iCade support, and oh my god, this thing is awesome. For $30, if you like the iCade, this is definitely a device to pick up, as long as you're okay with not having it connected to the device that you're playing on. So what I do is I set my iPad up on the desk in front of me like a TV screen, and then just kind of lean back and play with this little 8-bitty game controller. Definitely worth the price of admission if you're into kind of retro games and you want to play them with physical buttons. It's definitely the best of the physical button control things, although it's not perfect because not every game supports it. I really, 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 really wish that Apple would kind of pick a side, pick one or the other, let everybody know which one is the de facto standard, build it into Game Center so that everybody can just start supporting it. Because I'd like to see every game that come out with some like rudimentary support for a physical controller. That would be really awesome. But I highly doubt Apple's going to do that. But you never know. Weirder things have happened, like different execs that have been with Apple forever just get fired, which you would never think would happen. So weird things do happen. You never know.
Yeah, seriously.
Scott Forstall, that's his name, right? Scott Forstall is the guy that got the iOS guy that just got canned. Although he's been stuck around as an advisor, aka we don't want you to work for a competitor for a year, so we'll continue to throw a big chunk of money at you to keep you with us and not divulge our secrets.
I actually volunteered to be an advisor for them too.
Oh, that'd be good. I'll be an advisor. I'll do it for free, Apple. Just fly me down, put me up in a hotel, and I'll advise my ass off. And you guys will love it.
Sorry about the echo there.
Oh, it's okay. So what do you say we get into the show, man?
Sounds good.
All right. So let's start with no announcements. Let's start with what you've been playing. So Jared, why don't you kick it off first?
I do have a quick announcement.
Oh, okay. We do have an announcement, and then we'll get into what we've been playing.
Apologize I didn't put it in the notes. Just wanted to thank everyone for the various levels of support for Extra Life.
Oh, yeah.
Todias, who is a regular in our chat room, actually joined our team and owned us all. Got the most money, but it was a fantastic experience. We played a lot together and had a lot of fun. So I'll look forward to it next year. So
Sweet.
Yeah, that's all. Extra Life, they came really, really close to raising $2 million.
Yeah, I know.
And the record was 1.2 last year, and so we killed the record, but we were within like $20,000 of 2 million, but we just didn't quite make it. So
Wow, that's amazing.
next year, hopefully, we can make it.
Yeah, I definitely I want to do it next year. It just fell on a really bad week for me, so it wasn't possible. But I definitely want to get in on that next year.
All right.
So Jared, now what have you been playing?
So first of all, I've been playing quite a few games. Gonna just mention a few of them here. I've been playing the Marvel War of Heroes game. So it's completely a card battler, and it seems like there's been a huge rise of these card battling games on iOS. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know, it's the genre du jour. For a while there was Temple Run clones like crazy. Now it's card games.
Yeah, it's like these card battlers, and you combine the same cards to level them up, and I find them really boring. Like, because you just like punch a button through, and you're like, completing missions, and it feels like a real money suck, because in order to do some of the other things and not get beat by everyone, you have to start spending real money on it. And I'm not a huge fan. So the Marvel War of Heroes I actually played for quite a while, leveled up quite a bit. The art is really great because it's Marvel art, but I couldn't see myself continuing to play it because I don't know, it just wasn't really that great to me. So yeah, if you're into card battlers, this seems to be a good one, but I guess I'm just not a card battler person. So next I've been playing a game that's been getting it's kind of been one of those sleeper hits called Letterpress. And Letterpress is kind of it's a word game, so it has some similarities to like Words with Friends because you're playing asynchronously, and it's a lot of fun because they basically try to add a whole bunch of strategy on top, because there's a board of letters, and you're trying to claim those letters as your own by using them. And if you defend all the spaces around a letter, then it becomes like fortified and protected as yours, and it's harder for your opponent to get them. It is free, however, they give you a big limitation if you have the free version, that you can only have 2 games at once, which I actually don't think is a bad way to do it. So it's 99 cents to unlock it and play more, but if you don't unlock it, you can only play 2 games going at once. I'm looking to do a review for this for probably the next week or 2. So this is a shout out to any listeners who are interested in trying to do a review with me. I'd really appreciate you hopping in and starting a game with me. I'm Quacko. I'm trying to find other people to play, so it would be good if I could play with some listeners and get a good basically sample. I want to play against lots of different people and see how it plays out. So then there's Sci-Fi Heroes, which I was extremely excited for because I've been looking for a Battleheart type game ever since I finished Battleheart, and they haven't really expanded it at all. Mm-hmm. And this one was very much up the same vein as Battleheart. You take control of a bunch of the heroes from different sci-fi. So there's like a robot, and there's a marine guy. The only thing is you fight through these battles, and after you fight through the battles, you get a very small amount of cash, like so little cash that you can't even do a full upgrade lots of times. And sometimes you get an item. I'd say like probably 80% of the time you get an item. And it just feels like you don't get that much out of every battle. So it's not like you can even really grind. And then you don't really, so far I haven't gotten any of the premium currency. And you have to have the premium currency to unlock some of the characters and the majority of the equipment. So it's very, very focused on just real money, and I don't think I'm going to want to spend as much as it's going to take to be good and enjoy this game.
Right.
So have you played it at all?
No, I have not.
You haven't? Okay. And then finally, I've been playing Election War Room 2012. So this one is obviously around the presidential election. There's been a few of these types of games. However, this one is kind of a turn-based strategy. There's a board game that's out there, kind of old, called El Grande. Mm-hmm. It's probably about 10, 15 years old. Well, this game is a little bit of that game with a political theme. So it's kind of cool because it's asynchronous. However, you take your turns at the same time. And because you take your turns at the same time, you actually get to see two turns happen together. So each turn is 1 week in the campaign leading up to the presidential election. And you're fighting over the 6 swing states that they've identified. And you have 2 actions that you can take each turn. You can either go campaign in any one of these 6 states, or you could use both of them and campaign in 2 states, or you can bid on these cards that give you extra bonus powers. And it's kind of a balance of using your actions wisely to both get you the money you need to campaign effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way it works is because you take your turns at the same time, like there'll be cards out there that you bid for each other against. Whenever I log in and say I'm playing you, Lloyd, you played your turn and then you planned your next turn. Well, I log in, I see the turn that you completed and how it played out. I then play, and a second turn plays out, and then I put in my plan for the next turn. So I actually get to play 2 turns at a time because of that. Does that make sense?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
It sounds more confusing than I think it should be, but it's probably one of those things you have to do it to understand what it's all about.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though because it's like a turn-based, but you actually get to play 2 turns in a row, which is kind of nice because you get to see a little bit more of the evolution.
Right.
And then you only have to do like 5 turns and the game's over because it's only an 8-week campaign, so it goes pretty quick. A lot of people are complaining because it makes you log into Facebook. It's kind of funny. They say that on the app description. We're sorry that so many people don't like to log into Facebook, but we promise we won't ever do anything bad with it. We just don't want to make up our own infrastructure for it. So.
Right.
Yeah, it works, and I like it. And it looks like it's actually originally a Kickstarter game, and they were trying to bring it out in time for the election, and it looks like they just barely did because, it came out like last week. So they had 2 weeks until the election happens, which is next week. And then you can start paying attention to everyone on Facebook again that has been only talking about election stuff.
Nice. Yes, I've kind of, I'm Canadian, so I don't really care so much, other than the fact that if an idiot is in charge of the U.S., it's going to cause problems for the rest of the world, because you guys like to kind of throw your e-peen around and prove how awesome you are. I'm saying you as the collective you, not you personally, Jared. You're pretty cool. But I've not really focus too much on it, but the few times that I've tried to watch some of the stuff on television and I post something on Twitter, you get all these crazy people just like fire up and just send all this hate at you, and it's like, wow, like how can you be so stupid to begin with? Like, how can people be so dumb? But then at the same point, they're thinking the same thing about me. So I don't like talking politics because of that, because I just
Definitely.
I don't like dealing with the stupid, so I tend to avoid it as much as I can.
All right, Lloyd, tell me, what have you been playing?
You don't want to talk
Let's
politics?
not talk politics.
No, you don't want to talk
No.
politics anymore. Okay, cool.
Who's your Canadian Prime Minister?
Bob Jones, is that his name? John
I really
Chrétien?
should know this.
Seriously, you're being serious about that?
To be honest, I don't know it right now.
You,
I knew
do you
who
know
it was.
you don't know who my prime minister is?
No.
You don't know about the fact that he renamed the government the Harper government, not the government of Canada. It's now the Harper government. You've never heard about that?
So I guess it's Harper.
Yeah, it's Stephen Harper. He's a douche.
I think I knew the guy before that. So
yeah,
anyway,
there's
all right.
so many. But
what
anyway,
have you been playing, Lloyd?
Well, first, if you've been watching the live stream, I've been playing with my camera settings and chair and zoom. So I'm sorry for anybody that's watching live if that was a little bit confusing. For some reason, all my settings got messed up. I don't know how that happened, so I had to tweak them again while doing a live show, which is always the best time to do it. So that's been my first thing that I've been playing. As far as games, I picked up a game that was just released this week called Knights of Pen and Paper. We're probably going to review it next week because I know Jared wants to give it a go as well. And it's an interesting turn-based strategy that revolves around kind of the idea of like old Dungeons and Dragons. So a bunch of people sitting at a table with the dungeon master kind of taking you on your journey. But basically it's a turn-based thing where you go to a city, you attack monsters, you do all these things, but it all takes place in a turn-based kind of framework. There's also whenever you rest, a day passes, the game gets more difficult the further it's in, and it's just this whole big world, and it has some really weird things where it kind of calls out to the real life, although you're playing in a game. So there's like all this weird stuff that's happening in it. Really a lot of fun as far as turn-based strategy goes. It's like a very unique take on what turn-based strategy is. So I'm kind of really digging that. So hopefully we'll be able to do a review of that in the next week or two. I've also been playing Need for Speed Most Wanted, which just came out on iOS. I'll be reviewing that one in this episode because I've been playing a hell of a lot of that. So we'll get to that soon. And then I've been playing another game that launched in Canada, and this one I like. It's called Skylanders Lost Islands, and it is obviously a Skylander game, which I'm kind of really addicted to Skylanders right now. Just ask Jared; he knows I'm addicted to Skylanders. I asked him to find a Target exclusive version of a character so I could add it to my collection because I'm a collector at heart. So anyway, Skylanders Lost Islands is kind of the Farmville of Skylanders. So you basically create an island, you have to clean it up, you have to build buildings, you plant crops to get energy, you use energy to go on adventures to get gold, use the gold to buy more buildings, and it just keeps cycling like that. The really cool thing, or I guess the thing in the game, is when you jump into the game, you get a Skylander, and then every 5 levels you get another one for free. So you have characters that can actually go on these adventures. But if you own like physical Skylanders, like if you have the characters like I do, you basically got this little code. I'm not going to show the code, but you got these little code cards, they're called web code cards. If you have those web code cards, you punch them into the game, and then they actually unlock that character in the game and then give you an energy bonus. Since I spent a lot of time with my kids collecting the set of Skylanders 1 because we played it so much, I could pretty much unlock all the characters, which means that I can do so much more per hour, minute, whatever, because I own all these characters. So just that alone has been like really, really addictive. So I've been playing it. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to review it yet because it's only out in Canada. Maybe once it hits the US and the rest of the world, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I'm really digging it, and we got some more Skylanders news coming up in the news section. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So if you're into Skylanders, look forward to that one. It's definitely a fun game as far as those kind of resource management, farming, building kind of games, like the game you were addicted to for a while, Jared. What, that Dragon Veil or whatever, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
It's super similar to that. I mean, you build things, you hatch things, you send them on adventures. Just a lot of fun. Do
you actually go on the adventure and actually do anything there, or is it just kind of like, hey, go on an adventure, and then they come back a few hours later?
Yeah, they fly away on a balloon to an island, and then they come back. Is essentially
I hate it when
what
that happens.
Yeah. It would be nice if there was mini games thrown into it, but maybe in the future. It looks like Activision is actually going to be taking a huge iOS, development cycle underway and get a lot of Skylanders focused things out. So, but we'll talk about that when we get into the news. Other than that, that's about it. Let's talk a little bit about notable releases. The first one is a game that we talked about a lot, and that is Borderlands. It launched. It's $7 on the iPad. I think it's $5 on the iPhone. And I was so excited about this game. I loved Borderlands. I love Borderlands 2. Played a hell of a lot of it on my PS3. And then I started hearing kind of worrisome things bubbling up from the different forums and game sites when they got their pre-release versions of it so they could do reviews on release day. They were saying that it's like a bad, what's the name of that turn-based strategy, or that action strategy game where you drag your characters? We were just talking about it earlier in the pre-show.
Oh, Battleheart.
Battleheart. They're saying it's like a bad Battleheart clone. It's punishingly difficult when you first start the game, and then when you get past a certain level, you can't die. The loot mechanic isn't fun, or isn't there. There's no pathfinding. Really, you have to do the same move multiple times before you'll pathfind. And I was like, oh, that really can't be true. And then Touch Arcade posted one of their plays videos of them sitting there and playing the game, and it just looked horrible, and it made me so sad. Like, I actually physically was upset at watching this video because I wanted this game to rock, and unfortunately it is horrible. It's getting like 2 out of 5s, 1 out of 5s, 1 out of 4s, 2 out of 4s, depending on the site that you're going to. It is just not what we expect from an IP like Borderlands, which sold 5 million copies so far on the PS3 of Borderlands 2. It's such a huge name, and unfortunately they're kind of screwing things up by not, I don't know, bringing out the Borderlands that people are expecting. So anyway, this is kind of a warning. I haven't bought it because I don't want to buy a game and get depressed by it. So I'm going to wait for maybe some patches. Maybe they're going to do some stuff that are going to make the game better. That's my hope. We'll see what happens. But yeah, as far as it goes right now, stay away from Borderlands unless you really like games that aren't that great.
I thought the couple of funny things that were really funny on that Touch Arcade thing was when they were talking, like, first they're like, well, this is one of 3 maps. They just keep cycling through the same ones, and I'm like, ooh, that's a bad sign. And then the other really funny one was, I think somebody's like, hey, this is what you would get if you took Borderlands and took out all the fun parts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no loot collection in the game. You get money by killing things, and then you go buy your loot. But even then, the guns aren't, like, they're not named after all the different companies in Borderlands that do the different guns. So you can't get, like, all your favorite guns from the game. And it's just like, really? This is what you did, Activision? Or I guess in this case, I think it was 2K Games Mobile or something that developed it. Just not cool. Definitely not what I wanted. And hopefully they've noticed this and they're going to come out with some updates to fix the problem, because I'm just going to keep my $7 and spend it on something else.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and the next game up is WreckIt Ralph. Came out 99 cents on the App Store. It's a mini game collection based around the movie. There's also a Fix It Felix game, which is a free download, an ad-supported download, which is the, I guess, the old 80s, fake old 80s arcade game that... oh, I'm getting echoes. I'm getting echoes back, Jared. Do you have things open?
No, you're muted out.
Okay, well, I'm going to mute you for a second until you can see, make sure all your windows are closed. So it's the fake old 80s game that takes place in the movie, which WreckIt Ralph is I guess the evil character in. That is available for download for free, so you can definitely check that out as well. So yeah, did you have anything to add about the WreckIt Ralph game, Jared?
No, nothing in particular. I'm interested to see it. I've been hearing the movie's really good, and so I think that I've heard that it's really good around, like, video game culture and just that type of thing. So I'm excited for the movie, and it sounds like there's about 3 games in it that are kind of, one's a climb, like a doodle jump type game, and then those types of things, and that's really cool. So yeah, hopefully it'll be good, and hopefully the games that support it will be good as well.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, let's move on. We got to motor through the news because we got a couple reviews to do still in this episode. First up is, as I mentioned earlier, Skylanders is there's a big push being made for Skylanders on iOS. Activision is actually coming out with 2 games in the next month or so. The first one, as I said, is Lost Islands, which is basically being beta tested up in Canada right now. So if you have a Canadian App Store account or are Canadian, you can play it. And that is, as I said, it's kind of a world builder, Farmville kind of game where you're making a city, collecting items and stuff like that. But there's also a game coming out called Skylanders, I believe it's Battlegrounds. I'm trying to find it right now. Yeah, Battlegrounds, which is actually going to be bigger. It looks like it's going to be more akin to what Skylanders is on the console. So you're running around levels, battling. It looks like it's just going to be kind of like the Battleground segments from Borderlands 2. And to kind of show you how big of a push they're making on iOS, they're actually coming out with a boxed set. So similar to you going to EB Games right now or Best Buy or wherever, Future Shop if you're in Canada, you can see all the different sets. So the PS3 version comes with the game and a portal and some characters. The same thing is going to be happening on iOS. There's going to be a Skylanders Battlegrounds mobile starter pack, which is going to come with a copy of the game via download code. It's going to come with a portal of power, which is the little physical object, this thing here, that you stick your Skylanders on and they get then sucked into the game. But they're going to be coming out with a Bluetooth version, which you can then pair with your iOS device of choice. The pack is also going to come with 3 Skylanders, one new one from the new game, two reposed versions from Skylanders 1, and a special item called the Platinum Treasure Chest, which is an item that you can put into the game that will, every level that you hit, there's going to be a hidden treasure chest. So similar to items, if you've played the first Skylanders and had any of the adventure packs, you would have seen a battle chest, but this is a different version of it. And they're going to sell this for $50 or $40. Trying to find out. $49.99 is what the suggested retail price is. It's going to be coming out in November. And then, of course, if you already have Skylanders characters, you can then use all those in Battlegrounds. What Activision is also planning to do is sell just Battlegrounds by itself for between $5 and $7 is what they say, and then you can then take your web code and punch it in yourself. So you won't have the portal that you just drop a character on, which is convenient, but you'll still be able to get your characters in it. And to make it even easier, they're coming out with their own, social gaming network, which is basically going to allow you to then unlock all your characters online, and then they immediately will be made available across all the different Skylanders games. There's already Skylanders Cloud Patrol that's been out for 7, 8, 9 months, 10 months, something like that. That's going to be updated to support this social network, and then of course Battlegrounds and Lost Islands will all be updated as well. So you'll be able to use any of the 100 characters that are out so far in any of those games because they'll be unlocked on your account. Pretty cool. And I love the franchise. I love everything about it. So I'm really excited for this. I'm definitely going to have to pick up the Battle Pack or the full Skylanders Battleground mobile starter pack just to kind of do a review on the show. I already have most of the characters, or I have all the characters actually. So it's not to get the Skylanders. It's more to get the portal and to kind of tell you guys how it all works. But I'm kind of a little bit addicted to the franchise right now. So anything that I can play more Skylanders with my kids is awesome. It's like their favorite game. We played Skylanders for hours and hours and hours the other day, and it's just it's such a great game to play with kids. It's a good game for adults as well if you like kind of action adventure stuff, and it's going to be really cool to see this stuff hitting the iOS App Store. Hopefully the games are good. Hopefully they're not another Borderlands is all I want to say.
What time frame did you say that's going to be out in?
November, sometime in November is what they're saying. So hopefully early November, not late November, but it'll be sometime soon. If you don't want, if you don't want to buy the whole kit, you can just buy the game itself for a chunk of price and then punch in your own codes. But if you want to have the ease of just importing your characters, that kit looks like it's going to be a really good deal. Plus, it has a nice Bluetooth portal of power, so who knows what that's going to give you access to in the future. If there's Skylanders 3 on the consoles, then you'll be able to probably take all those characters and import them into your games as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see more from that.
Very cool.
All right, moving on. Another big announcement, something that I said I wish this will happen. This is one of my favorite games of the PlayStation 2 era, and I really hope it comes to iOS or even redone versions to current consoles, and that is Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It's been announced that it's coming this fall, so it'll be coming out soon, probably within the next couple weeks to a month. So that is of course, Grand Theft Auto 3 that was kind of set in the 80s with a really awesome 80s soundtrack, and it was just my favorite entry in all Grand Theft Auto franchises, in the franchise, in all the different iterations, Liberty City, or any of the full-blown console versions. This was my favorite, so I definitely cannot wait to play this later this fall. So we'll definitely talk about it more as more info comes out of Rockstar. And well, I guess that's a good segue into our next story that you wanted to chat about. This game is probably going to be huge. So, Jared, why don't you tell us about the problem of increasing app sizes? Apps are getting a little bit fat.
Yeah, so this group called ABI Research, they went and did a study about apps released between the period between March and September. So actually just 6 months. However, it was a pretty important 6 months if you consider that that's the time frame that developers would be changing to have the Retina display in the iPad 3. However, they found that app size has increased 16%. So, a little bit, but then games have increased 42%.
Wow.
So that's obviously probably related to the graphics that they're having to push and that type of, high fidelity and all the extra um, you know, memory that they're sucking up.
Right.
But it's really starting to create a little bit of a problem. I mean, I know that on my iPod Touch, I have had a 32 gig, and I've always had a 32 gig. This is now my third. And, I started with the second gen and then fourth gen and now fifth gen. And it seems like my 32 gigabytes is going less and less time before it fills up. And you
Yeah.
look at some of the games that have released, and there's some really huge ones. I go through and look regularly when I'm deciding what to play next, and I look at what ones are taking up a lot of space because I want to free up that space by playing them and then getting them deleted. I just installed Horn, that big game that you reviewed and that I couldn't play until now, and it's 1.8 gig.
Yeah,
That's huge.
it's huge. It's definitely is huge.
And
Sorry,
and
go ahead.
Infinity Blade is 1.2. It's just they're getting really big, and there's a lot of big games now. So you're having to be careful, and it's almost, I guess it's a good thing for Apple because it means it'll push people to buy their bigger devices, and they'll be able to get more money. But it's just something interesting that's happening, and it's making those smaller devices less viable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Retina graphics. Of course, if you're making a 3D game and you make a Retina version of it, you're not really increasing the app size that much. You're still probably going to be using the higher res textures in your non-Retina version of the game, and you are kind of limited when you're making a 3D game. You're kind of limited by the texture size to begin with. So it's probably just a lot more games are using bigger and bigger engines. Like a lot of games coming out are using Unreal Engine, which has a lot of overhead to it. A lot of them are using Unity, which has a fair size overhead to it as well. That's probably part of it as well. They're probably both kind of battling with each other to be who's the worst, who's the piggiest of the piggy kind of culprit for this. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that as well. Like if I look at my usage on my iPad, because I only have a 32 gig iPad, it used to be maybe 1 or 2 games on my device would be over a gig. Now it's like a large handful of games, and I have to be very selective about what I keep on my device and what I'm deleting. Like I'm deleting games before I fully finish them because I just don't have the space, and I need to install other things so I can review them on the show, which is really kind of depressing. But at the same time, it just means that there's a lot of really awesome stuff coming out, so it's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of sad when there's games with that you like and you'd like to keep around because you never know when you're going to go back to them, but you really can't do that. You have to get rid of them because otherwise you're going to run into space issues, and then I forget about that I own them and never go back to them, which is kind of a sad thing, though.
Yeah, that's definitely not cool. So yeah, hopefully that means that the next generation of devices is going to be twice as big. So you're not just going to have 16, 32, and 64. Maybe it starts at 32, then 64 and 128, and then it starts getting bigger and bigger that way. The price of flash memory keeps coming down, so it's not like it's going to cost Apple that much more to increase the sizes of the devices. So that's my hope anyway. Who knows if that's actually going to happen though.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to keep watching the trend. There are more Unreal Engine games that are bigger and all that. So I mean, I guess that's probably also being a big contributing factor. So we'll see what happens over time.
Cool. All right. Well, that's going to about do it for news. Let's go through our reviews. Why don't you kick it off, Jared?
All right. So the game I'm going to be reviewing is called Devil's Attorney. So Devil's Attorney is by Leet 1337 Game Design. And so it has a little bit of like 80s cheese to it. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, looks like Phoenix Wright. I loved Phoenix Wright, so this will be fun. Well, it turns out it's nothing like Phoenix Wright. However, it's still a lot of fun. So basically, you play as Max McMahon, and you are an attorney, hence Devil's Attorney, and you are defending basically the worst of the worst type of people. Basically every single person that you defend looks like they're guilty, and you have to get them off, if that makes sense. So you have a number of skills that you have at hand that you can use, and you then have to use these skills to take down the credibility of the evidence against your clients. And what happens is you have a turn and then they have a turn. So it's a little bit turn-based. but it's not really like anything I've particularly seen before. You have a bunch of moves like cross examine or um, I can't even remember them all now because it's been a week or two since I played it. But uh, it's fun because it starts off with you having a fun quick exchange with the other attorney that is prosecuting, and they're actually genuinely funny, and there's a lot of like 80s cheese to it. So, there's all sorts of like neon signs, and the things that you're buying are totally look like, the popular styles of the 80s. And so that's kind of funny. And then you get so each piece of evidence brought against you, there's either witnesses or there's pieces of evidence, and each ones have different damage. And so if they get to take their turn, they will do that much damage to your case, and your case has so much strength. If you lose all the strength in your case, you lose, and you have to try that round over. But so you have to look each round and say, okay, what's the most important to take out right now that will do a lot of damage and that I might be able to get? And you use your different various moves. You can discredit or intimidate a witness, courtroom drama. I looked it up because I wanted to have some better examples of moves. Deep voice or epic speech. There's all these things, and so you use that to go and attack the evidence or the witnesses that are coming against you. And once you've beat them all, then you win the case, and your client gets off. And for every client you successfully defend, you get money. If you defend them and achieve the aggressive bonus goal, then you get extra money, and you can then go use that money to go and deck out your apartment. So you deck out your apartment, and they will give you different things for decking them out. Usually it'll give you bonus points to your profile. And so your profile has 3 areas. It has materialism, decadence, and vanity. And as you level up in each of these, it will give you different moves that you can use to attack with. Like if you get 10 materialism, you can use the move tirade, which is really, really strong. So going all the way through it, you will not have enough points that you can max out all 3. So you have to make those decisions of which ones you specialize in. I specialized in 2 and got them all the way up, and then the third one was not very far up. And that's kind of the way I'd recommend going about it. And then you go and it just, you keep playing those different levels. There's a total of 58 cases, and a case will play out in maybe 5 minutes or so. So it actually turns out to be a fair amount of content when you look at it. I was looking at a lot of the reviews on the iTunes store, and a lot of people are like, it's too short, it's too short. And I agree that I wanted more, but I don't feel like I was ripped off in any way, because I think I spent about 3 hours, maybe 4, with this game, enjoying it and beating it. So if it's too short at that point, that just means people are really liking it and they just wanted more to do in it. Does that mean, you know what I mean?
Sorry, my mic was muted.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good thing, right? If people just wanted more, even though it's a few hours long. And then the other thing is, once you beat it, there is a hard mode. So basically, when you start out, you start out with like 8 case strength, and hard mode you start out with less case strength. So it's the exact same storylines, which can get a little bit boring. The exact same people you're defending, but you start out with less strength, so you're easier to take down, and it becomes almost a bit of a puzzle then. Because you want to make sure that you're doing the exact right moves, and there's very little room for error. I actually really like this game. It's $2.99, and for me, I totally got my money's worth. I would enjoy playing it. I would enjoy more of it, but I still feel like it is a substantial game, and it's really cool because each one of those conversations is fully voice acted before all 58 of those cases. So there's a lot of voice acting in it. It's genuinely funny. You'll kind of laugh to yourself as you play it. So I definitely recommend this game. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 and say, pick it up when you get the chance. Maybe watch for sale, but even at $2.99, I think it's a really good deal. So that's Devil's Attorney on the App Store for $2.99.
Wow, that's good praise for you. 5 out of 5. I definitely have to go check that one out.
I kind of feel like this one's a little bit like Squids, where I feel like it's a little bit of a sleeper hit.
Right.
You know, those turn-based type games or something that maybe they don't get quite as much attention, but they're really, really good. So
Right.
this one's really, really good and definitely worth the shot. And it's only $3, and I really enjoyed playing it. So
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. So for my review, I'm going to talk about a little game called Need for Speed Most Wanted, which basically launched this week across pretty much every platform known to mankind. So, of course, there's an iOS port. They showed this game off at one of the Apple events recently, and it looked unbelievable. It's by the Firemint / Guerrilla Games. What is it? Fire Monkey or something? They merged the two studios into that one, and it's by the same team that makes the real racing. So you know the game's going to look gorgeous, but I wasn't really prepared for how nice it actually looks. Like I saw some video and I was like, oh yeah, it looks good, but looks good and is good oftentimes are not the same thing. So I picked up this game because I do like the odd racer. I do like arcade racers, and I gotta say I really like Need for Speed Most Wanted. So the game is $6.99 on the App Store, similar to pretty much every other EA title that comes out. And with the game, you get basically access to kind of an open world, but it's not an open world game. It's a big map with different events in different sections. So you choose an event, you choose a city or a part of the city, and then you choose a sub event that's been unlocked, and then you have to race based on where you are in the game and what city you're going to. It can be either just a standard race where you're racing against 5 other people. It could be a one-on-one. It could be a race against the time race. It could be a checkpoint race. So there's a whole bunch of different types of events to keep it fresh and new. But it is a most wanted one. So it's you against the police. So you'll be playing, and then at a certain point in the level, you'll start getting basically pursued by the cops that are trying to take you down. And depending on how far you are in the game, it could be as easy as just one car, basically a standard police cruiser. As you get a little bit higher in the game and you get more as of a most wanted title, you'll have SUVs or Corvettes, police cars coming after you. The cops will set up roadblocks, they'll throw down tire spikes, they'll do anything they can to slow you down, which is fun at sometimes, or some parts of the game. And it can also be really frustrating to the point where I wanted to throw my device. But that's Need for Speed. That's how it's always been. This game is a little bit different than most Need for Speeds, wherein you can't really upgrade your vehicles. So there's 35 vehicles in the game, so 35 different vehicles, and then there's special edition versions of a lot of them. I believe there's like 46 total cars or 49 total cars, and in most Need for Speeds, you could take a car and then you could go change out the engine and put a body kit on and put a lightning kit or a light kit on it, so you can actually reduce the weight of your vehicle. Put different turbos, put different nitrous systems on. In this one, there really is no upgrades. But what you can do is after you get to a certain point in the game, you unlock 2 slots where you can put mods. So you can do things like auto inflatable tires, or faster burning or cleaner burning NOS kits, or higher top speed, higher acceleration, and things like that. And they're not cheap. They're a couple thousand credits each, but then you add them to your car, and then you can basically take your stock Lamborghini and make it better than stock. So if you're playing in a race that is just like a Lamborghini challenge, where it's you and a bunch of other people driving the same Lamborghinis, you want to basically add anything to make your car a little bit better. The one thing I don't like about this system is you spend the money and then you have your race and then the mods are gone. If you want to replay that race, you have to spend that money again. So if you're trying to, I don't know, grind out some cash to afford the next vehicle, you really can't add your mods. So you have to play easier races than maybe you should be racing to be able to come in first and get the big bonus for coming in first.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what EA's done is they've added the ability to buy money, of course. So you can buy packs of credits. So you can buy 500,000 credits for $2.99, or a million for $4.99, 2 million for $8.99, and then just keeps going up all the way to like $25. So the fact that these mods are consumables, it's almost like they're encouraging you to buy money to make the game easier. So it's definitely in-app purchase focused, but you can't really just like spend money on the game and then spend more money on in-app credits and then ruin the game, because you still have to race all the races. So if you want to drop $7 on this game and then drop another $5 to get a million credits, you could start out a little bit better, so you're not buying the cheapest vehicle in each class and then racing a bunch of times to upgrade it. A lot of people will see that as a viable way to just have more fun with the game. But I don't know, this whole mod system really, I don't know, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I liked old Need for Speeds where you're upgrading the vehicles, making your, I don't know, your vehicle, your Porsche 911, your Porsche 911 by adding the different things you want. That's really been taken away. The other thing is like simple things like changing the color of your vehicle. They still cost money. So it's like, I don't know. I can see why they're adding it in, because they want you to buy your credits or they want you to grind away. But it just seems to kind of cheapen things a little bit. Other things is when you're in a race, say if it's you and 5 other computer controlled vehicles, it seems the cops are only targeting you. Even though you're passed by someone doing 350 kilometers an hour, the police will stick on you and try to destroy you first. Really annoying when you're first in a race, and then for some reason a cop driving a Camaro or a Corvette just cuts you off and then pushes you into the side and then just kind of like makes you T-bone him and then just sits there. It's like, okay, well, I wasn't first, now I'm in 6th, and I just wasted the 2 minutes it took to do this race. I find that really annoying. I mean, that's kind of how Need for Speed, the Most Wanted series, always was. The police are always after you. But I've played pretty much every Need for Speed, and this one seems even more so that. Like, they don't even try to really mess with the other computer controlled players. So I don't know if that was done just because that's the way they wanted to design this game, or if that's another way to kind of make you grind things out. So it'll encourage you to say, fine, I'll just drop $5, get my million coins, and then buy a better vehicle. So I look at some of the decisions this game made, and then I have to kind of weigh the fact that you can buy money. Is the game like this because that's how it was designed, or is a game like this to be just annoying enough to get you to spend more money? But even with that said, I'm really, really enjoying the game. There's some really cool cars. Like you can drive a Tesla, which is pretty cool. I love Teslas. When they said, which car should we have in our game? I replied right away and said Tesla. And then it's cool to see Teslas in the game. Obviously, they didn't just listen to me. I'm sure millions of people said Tesla, and I'm sure they were adding it anyway. But just the fact that I wanted to play a Tesla and now it's in here is pretty cool. It's a terrible car when you have all these like super expensive sports cars, but it's still pretty nice. It's fun to play. And obviously Tesla doesn't have an engine, so a NOS kit really isn't needed, but you do have a nitrous boost. I don't know what it's doing to make your car faster, but you have nitrous boost. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the cars have full damage, body damage, so you can have your bumpers ripped off, your windows cracked, and things like that, which is always kind of neat. It used to never happen in games. Now it's happening more frequently, which is kind of nice. As you play the game, you have to log into the Origin social network if you want to be social with this game. It doesn't support Game Center. So if you want to see all your friends and how they did on a race, you have to log into Origin. But then it's automatic. When you start a race, you can see all the friends that have competed in it. You see their scores, and then you can try to beat them, which is kind of nice. They even have a ranking system for you. So they have something called speed points. So when you do things in the game, you come in first, you unlock kind of like the mini achievements in the game. By doing that, you get speed points, and then you use that speed points to move your way up the rank. As you move your way up the rank in the game, other vehicles are unlocked because they're not all available at the start. You have to either win certain races, so you have to unlock those races and then win them, or you have to get to a certain point in the speed points ranking. So there's enough in this game to keep you coming back and racing hundreds of times, which is great. I'm just having a blast with it. I'm gonna probably keep it on my iPad. There's a certain number of cars which are I think they call them like they're called NP or NFS versions of the vehicle. I can't remember what the actual name for NFS is. Obviously, Need for Speed is NFS, but I think it has a different name in the game. And these are vehicles that are only available at the car dealership, but they're only available for a week at a time. So one vehicle is going to be made available every week until all those NFS versions are done. So you're going to at least have to have the game on your device for, I don't know, a couple months if you want to unlock all those vehicles. And if you want to unlock all like 49 vehicles, you're going to have to wait and do that. Pretty kind of a neat thing. A week seems like a really long time. I don't know if it's going to be a week for every car, but I know the one that was made available on launch day was going to be up on the store for 6 days. So hopefully other ones aren't going to be as long, but who knows. But yeah, it's Need for Speed. It's arcadey racing. It's amazing graphics, no pop in. The cars look real. I'm amazed that it's pushing so many polygons to my iPad 3 because the huge retina screen, it's pushing a lot of data to the screen and it looks great. No slowdown, some great environmental effects. You can race at night. Sometimes there's water on the road. All the reflections and everything are there. It just looks great. If you want a game to really show off the beauty of current generation games on the iOS device, this is definitely one until the next Real Racing comes out, and then that's going to like leave this one in its dust because some of the screens that I've seen from that are just amazing. But as right now, this is probably the best looking game that I've played on the device. So I'm going to give Need for Speed a 4 out of 5. It would get a perfect score from me if it didn't seem like so many of the design decisions in the game were focused around, let's make it hard enough to get people to drop more money on the game. It's already at the premium price on the iOS App Store. Personally, I'm almost to the point where I want to drop another $5 just so I could start buying a couple higher powered cars so I don't have to grind so much. And obviously that's the point they want people to get at, which seems kind of dirty to me, but anyway, it's there. I'm still having fun whether I have to grind a couple races in a row. I'm still really enjoying it. I haven't fully unlocked everything. I want to unlock and win gold in every race. I want to buy all the cars, so there's still going to be a lot of gameplay ahead of me. But I've just been enjoying it over the last like two and a half days. Yeah, I really dig it. 4 out of 5. Need for Speed Most Wanted. $7 on the App Store. All right, man. That's gonna about do it. That was a good show. Thank you for joining me again, Jared.
Sounds great, and we got done just in time.
We did. Bonus stage is coming up in 10 minutes, so I gotta put on my bonus stage face and get another glass of water so I can do another 2 hours of podcasting after this one.
All right. Well, all right. Have a good night, Lud. Good talking to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you too, Jared. And it's nice talking to you guys. Definitely keep sending in your emails, your voicemails, and everything like that. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and let us know what you think. Go to vgpodcast.com/forums and chat with other listeners. There's a lot of people that are hanging out. I'd like to see more people show up and chat. So I do urge you all to go to vgpodcast.com/forums. You can call our voicemail line, which is area code 505-VG-PODCAST, or just email us, vgpodcast@gmail.com. We want to read more emails in future weeks. I know we have thousands of people listening, but we don't get very many listener emails or voicemails. I'd love to see a couple of weeks so we can start having some one-on-one interaction with our listeners. So if you're out there and you're just like, they're never going to read it, no, we will read it. We don't get very much feedback, so we'd love to read your messages on the next episode or the episode after that or the episode after that. We're going to always want to read your messages. So yeah, send them in. Let us know. All right, man. I think we should go. I need to save my voice for another 2 hours of talking.
All right. Well, have a good one.
All right, guys. Take it easy, and we'll talk soon. We'll talk to you next week. The show should be posted on the weekend. So remember, we try to do this each and every Thursday. Check on vgpodcast.com/live. We have our list of shows and when they're going to be recorded. So if you want to find out when our next live show of Touch of Gaming is, either follow me on Twitter, Dasme, or just go to vgpodcast.com/live and you can see what our recording schedule is going to be like. All right, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week. Later.